Get your hands off that catalog. The words cut through Christie's auction house like a gunshot. Victoria Pemberton, the auction director, towers over Marcus Hayes, a black man in a simple navy suit examining a catalog at the viewing gallery entrance. Crystal sconces cast shadows across his face as 40 collectors turn to stare. "Sir, this preview is for registered bidders only." Victoria's voice carries the authority of someone who's never been questioned. "Security will escort you out if you continue touching items you clearly can't afford." Marcus's fingers tighten around the catalog. He's dressed appropriately, more conservatively than half the attendees present. But Victoria's eyes see only what her prejudice allows. "I'm here to, Marcus begins. "No exceptions." Victoria cuts him off. "We have strict protocols about who accesses our lots. Perhaps you're looking for the Community Art Center on 5th Street. Marcus looks around the gallery. His gallery. And makes a decision that will change everything. Have you ever been accused of not belonging in a place you own? Each word Victoria said that moment was recorded. People with power to act would review everything. 30 minutes earlier, Marcus Hayes steps out of an Uber in front of Christie's Manhattan gallery. No Bentley announces his arrival, no assistant follows. Just a successful collector carrying a leather portfolio, observing his newest acquisition from the sidewalk. The auction house gleams under afternoon light. Floor-to-ceiling windows reveal elegant displays, soft lighting, and the careful choreography of high-end art commerce. He purchased this location 8 months ago, investing $47 million to create something revolutionary, an auction house where exceptional art and inclusive access could coexist. Through the windows, he watches the preview crowd. Predominantly white collectors, dealers conducting quiet negotiations, museum curators examining pieces worth more than most people's lifetime salaries. This is exactly what he envisioned. But something feels wrong today. Victoria Pemberton notices him through the glass. In her 12 years managing elite auction houses, she's developed what she calls client awareness, the ability to spot people who don't belong. The black man standing outside, studying the entrance, triggers every unconscious bias she's cultivated. He enters through the heavy glass doors. Victoria immediately intercepts his path. "Good evening," Marcus says to Claire, the young gallery assistant. "I'd, like to—" "Excuse me," Victoria interrupts, materializing beside the reception desk like a storm cloud. "Are you here with a registered bidder?" Marcus studies her face, the slight sneer, the way her eyes assess his clothing, his portfolio, his very presence. He's seen this look before, but never in his own establishment. "I'm here to observe the preview," he says simply. Victoria's eyebrows raise. "Observe? Sir, I think there's been some confusion. This is Christie's, a premier auction house. Perhaps you're looking for the public gallery down the street." The condescension in her voice is unmistakable. Claire's stomach tightens. She recognizes the tone Victoria uses when she wants someone gone. "No confusion," Marcus replies, his voice steady. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Victoria sizes him up again. The off-the-rack suit, the practical portfolio, the absence of obvious wealth markers. Her prejudice calcifies into certainty. "Sir, I'm going to need to see your bidder registration." Victoria crosses her arms. "We're previewing $23 million in lots today, and walk-ins aren't typical for our clientele." Marcus doesn't produce registration. He owns every painting, every sculpture, every piece of furniture in this building. But Victoria's assumption reveals everything he needs to know about the culture she's created in his absence. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately," he suggests. "There's nothing to discuss." Victoria's voice hardens. "State your business or leave." Marcus Hayes wasn't born into wealth. He grew up in Brooklyn's Bed-Stuy neighborhood when it was still considered dangerous, not trendy. His mother cleaned houses in Manhattan's Upper East Side, including apartments filled with art worth millions. She'd bring home auction catalogs from the recycling bins, Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips. Young Marcus memorized them like textbooks. At 9 years old, he could identify a Basquiat from across a room. At 12, he understood the difference between pre-war and post-war Picasso pricing structures. At 15, he knew more about provenance than most dealers twice his age, but knowledge didn't equal access. At 18, Marcus tried to attend a Sotheby's preview for a contemporary art sale. Security stopped him at the door, accused him of trying to steal catalogs, pushed him onto Madison Avenue while white teenagers walked past him into the gallery. He never forgot that humiliation. Marcus put himself through NYU studying art history and business, worked 3 jobs, gallery assistant by day, security guard by night, weekend shifts at a framing shop, saved every dollar. His first purchase, a small Romer Bearden collage for $3,200. He resold it 6 months later for $8,900. Reinvested. Repeated. By 30, he'd built a portfolio worth $2 million. By 35, $15 million. By 40, he owned one of the most valuable private collections of African-American art in the country. At 43, he did something unprecedented. He bought Christie's Manhattan flagship location, not as revenge, as revolution. His vision proved that world-class art commerce doesn't require exclusion. That expertise and passion matter more than appearance or pedigree. But he made one mistake. He hired Victoria Pemberton without conducting the interview personally, trusted his operations manager's recommendation. She had impressive credentials, 12 years at major auction houses, strong sales numbers, connections with major collectors. What his background check didn't reveal, her pattern of client filtering that systematically excluded buyers who didn't fit her narrow definition of serious collectors. Now Marcus stands in his own gallery, being told he doesn't belong, and discovers exactly what culture Victoria's created in his absence. "Sir, I'm going to need you to state your business here." Victoria's voice projects across the gallery. Several collectors pause their examinations to observe the confrontation. "I told you," Marcus responds calmly. "I'm here to observe the preview." "Observe?" Victoria's laugh is sharp. "On whose authority? Are you from the insurance company? Because all our documentation is current." Marcus studies her face, the way she positions herself between him and the viewing gallery, the way her voice projects to ensure maximum audience participation in his humiliation. "I'd like to examine Lot 47, he says. "Lot 47? Victoria's condescension reaches new heights. "Sir, that's a Kehinde Wiley portrait, estimated at $800,000 to $1.2 million. Perhaps you'd be more interested in the print sale next month." The suggestion lands like a slap. Claire winces behind the reception desk. James, a porter moving a crated sculpture, slows his pace to listen. "I'm familiar with Wiley's work," Marcus replies. "What I'm curious about is your authentication documentation and exhibition history." Victoria's eyes narrow. His questions are too specific, too knowledgeable. "Sir, that information is proprietary. I don't know what kind of scheme you're running." "Scheme?" Marcus's voice remains level, but something dangerous flickers in his eyes. "Look, I've been in this business for 12 years. Victoria steps closer. "I know when someone's fishing for information they shouldn't have. Whatever angle you're working, we're not interested." A young collector at the Rothko display discreetly starts recording on her phone, sensing the confrontation escalating beyond normal gallery drama. "Ms. Marcus waits for her name. "Pemberton, Victoria Pemberton. I'm the director of this location." Ms. Pemberton, I'd like to speak with whoever is above you in the hierarchy. Victoria's smile turns predatory. Sir, I am the hierarchy. The owner lives overseas and trusts me to handle operations, which means what I say goes. The irony would be amusing if it weren't so offensive. Marcus owns this auction house, built Hayes Collection Group from nothing, hired Victoria 8 months ago during his expansion into contemporary art sales, trusted his operations manager's recommendation without conducting the interview personally, a mistake he's now paying for. I see, Marcus says quietly. And part of your operational authority includes determining who belongs here? Exactly, Victoria nods, and you clearly don't. And this is how Marcus Hayes finds himself, 20 minutes later, being told to leave his own auction house while 40 collectors watch Victoria Pemberton destroy her career with every word she speaks. A woman's scream cuts through the gallery. Someone help! He's not breathing. At the Hockney display, an elderly collector clutches his chest. His face is gray. His companion frantically pats his pockets, searching for medication. Victoria freezes. Her entire staff is occupied with preview setup. The nearest hospital is 6 blocks away. Minutes matter. Marcus doesn't hesitate. He crosses the gallery in 4 strides, kneels beside the man, checks his pulse, his breathing, recognizes the symptoms immediately. Does he have nitroglycerin? Marcus asks the woman. I can't find it. Call 911. Marcus's voice is calm but commanding. Tell them possible cardiac event. We need paramedics now. He positions the man's head, loosens his collar, monitors his breathing while the room watches in stunned silence. Victoria stands frozen. This wasn't in any protocol. The man she tried to eject is now saving a client's life. Someone get a chair, Marcus instructs. Elevated position, now. James, the porter, scrambles to comply. Marcus keeps his fingers on the man's pulse, speaks in calm, measured tones. Sir, stay with me. Help is coming. Just breathe slowly. The man's eyes focus on Marcus's face. Thank you, he whispers. You're going to be fine, Marcus assures him. I've handled situations like this before. Victoria watches Marcus work with practiced efficiency. The way he monitors vital signs, the way he positions the patient, the authority in his voice. This isn't someone off the street. This is someone with training, with experience, with knowledge she completely misjudged. Paramedics arrive within 4 minutes. They take over from Marcus with professional efficiency. You did good, the lead paramedic tells Marcus. Probably saved his life. As they stabilize the patient for transport, the man reaches for Marcus's hand. What's your name, son? Marcus Hayes. The man's eyes widen. Hayes? Marcus Hayes, who bought the Fleming collection? Marcus nods. My God. The man grips his hand tighter. I'm Richard Fleming. That was my collection. I'd heard the new owner was brilliant, but I never imagined. Victoria's face goes white. Richard Fleming. She just watched Marcus Hayes save Richard Fleming's life, the man who sold his legendary African-American art collection for $89 million. To Marcus Hayes, the new owner of Christie's Manhattan. Mr. Fleming, Marcus says gently, we'll talk after you're cleared by the doctors. Right now, you need to focus on your health. You're a good man, Marcus. Fleming is loaded onto the gurney. A damn good man. As paramedics wheel Fleming toward the exit, the gallery erupts in whispered conversations. Claire's hands tremble as she pulls up Marcus's profile on the gallery computer. Hayes Collection Group, owner and CEO, $340 million in art acquisitions over 15 years. Purchased Christie's Manhattan flagship 8 months ago. She looks at Victoria, sees the realization dawning, the horror spreading across her face, but Victoria isn't ready to accept reality. Ladies and gentlemen, she announces, her voice carrying forced authority. We apologize for the disruption. Please continue viewing the lots. The preview will proceed as scheduled. She turns to Marcus, lowered voice, desperate edge. I don't care what connection you claim to have. This is my gallery. You're still not authorized to be here. Marcus studies her. The denial, the doubling down, the refusal to admit error. Your gallery? He asks quietly. I've managed this location for 8 months, built these sales, cultivated these clients. Victoria's voice rises. I don't know who you think you are. That's the problem. Marcus's voice cuts through her justifications. You never asked who I was? You saw what you expected to see? Sir, I'm calling security. Victoria reaches for her phone. Victoria. Claire's voice is barely a whisper. He owns Christie's. Victoria spins. What? Marcus Hayes. Hayes Collection Group. He's the owner. Claire's screen displays Marcus's profile. The board announcement from 8 months ago. The acquisition documents. Everything. Victoria's phone slips from her hand, clatters on marble floor. The sound echoes through sudden silence. Every collector in the gallery is watching now, phones recording, witnesses documenting, the moment crystallizing into something permanent. Victoria makes her fatal mistake. This is ridiculous, she announces to the room. Some diversity hire buys his way into an auction house and thinks he knows how to run it? She gestures at Marcus dismissively. People like him don't understand this world. They don't have the refinement, the education, the... Stop talking. The voice comes from the gallery entrance. A white woman in her 60s, silver hair, impeccable Chanel suit. Margaret Chen, president of Christie's Americas division. She's been standing in the doorway for the past 90 seconds, recording everything on her phone. Ms. Chen, Victoria stammers, I didn't realize... That's your problem, Victoria. You never realize. Margaret crosses the gallery. You didn't realize Marcus Hayes is one of the most respected collectors in contemporary art. You didn't realize he owns this building. And you certainly didn't realize that your racist assumptions just destroyed your career. If this made you angry, hit like and subscribe to see what happens when power finally answers. Victoria looks around desperately. Seeking support from staff who've endured her management for 8 months, she finds only uncomfortable silence and averted eyes. A young collector, Sarah Kim, steps forward. Ms. Chen, I recorded the entire interaction from the moment Mr. Hayes entered. Would that be helpful? Very helpful, thank you. Margaret accepts Sarah's phone. Please email that to legal@christies.com. Victoria's legs feel unsteady. This is just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Margaret's voice could freeze nitrogen. You told the owner of this auction house he doesn't belong here. You accused him of running a scheme. You suggested he'd be more comfortable at a community center, and you just described him as a diversity hire who lacks refinement. Margaret turns to Marcus. Mr. Hayes, I apologize on behalf of Christie's. This is unconscionable. Marcus nods. Miss Chen, I appreciate that, but I'm more concerned about the culture that allowed this to happen. As am I. Margaret pulls out her phone. I'm calling an emergency board meeting, effective immediately, Victoria. Pemberton is suspended pending investigation. Victoria's face cycles through shock, disbelief, and growing horror. You can't... I can, and I am. Margaret's tone leaves no room for argument. Security will escort you from the premises. You have 10 minutes to collect personal belongings. Marcus addresses the assembled collectors. I apologize for the disruption. For those who don't know me, I'm Marcus Hayes, owner of Hayes Collection Group and this Christie's location. I purchased this auction house 8 months ago with a simple vision. Prove that world-class art commerce and inclusive access aren't mutually exclusive. He pauses. looks around the gallery. What happened here today shows we haven't achieved that vision. Not yet, but we will. Claire steps forward tentatively. Mr. Hayes, I want to apologize. I should have said something. I should have... Claire, you are afraid for your job. I understand. Marcus's voice is gentle. But going forward, we're creating an environment where speaking up for what's right is rewarded, not punished. James, the porter, looks physically ill. I watched it happen and did nothing. I'm ashamed. James, shame is the beginning of growth. What matters is what we do next. Margaret shows Marcus the video Sarah Kim recorded. Victoria's voice clearly audible. People like him don't understand this world. They don't have the refinement. The comments are already circulating on social media. Hashtag Christie's Discrimination trending locally. 47,000 views in 2 hours. Marcus closes his eyes, opens them, makes his decision. Ms. Chen, we're not just firing Victoria. We're rebuilding this entire operation from the ground up. By 7 p.m., Margaret Chen has assembled Christie's executive team in the gallery's main conference room. Marcus sits at the head of the table, his table in his building, while Victoria's termination papers are prepared. The video has exploded across social media. Sarah Kim's recording reached 380,000 views on TikTok. News outlets are calling for statements. The art world is watching. Margaret presents termination documents. Victoria Pemberton, you're terminated for cause effective immediately. Gross misconduct, discriminatory behavior, violation of company values, and violation of New York human rights law. Victoria's voice is barely a whisper. This isn't legal. Ms. Pemberton, Marcus interrupts quietly. Discrimination based on race is not only grounds for termination in New York, it's a crime. The video evidence provides clear documentation of your violations. He stands, addresses his staff gathered in the room. Everyone will have the opportunity to continue employment here, but only after comprehensive training on inclusive service. This auction house will become a model for the industry, a place where expertise and passion matter more than appearance or assumptions. Claire raises her hand. Mr. Hayes, what can we do to make this right? Claire, you can start by treating every client who walks through that door with the same respect you'd want for your own family. Excellence in art commerce isn't about excluding people. It's about including everyone in something extraordinary. Richard Fleming, released from the hospital after tests show a minor cardiac event, contacts Marcus directly. Marcus, I need to thank you properly. You saved my life today. Mr. Fleming, I'm just glad you're okay. Please, call me Richard. And I'm doing more than okay. I'm making an offer. The next day, Fleming announces he's donating 12 works from his private reserve collection to Hayes Collection Group. Combined value, $23 million. Pieces by Jacob Lawrence, Romare Bearden, and Faith Ringgold that have never been offered at auction. Marcus Hayes represents everything this industry should be, Fleming tells Art News. Knowledge, integrity, and genuine love for art. He didn't save my life because I was someone important. He did it because it was right. But Marcus doesn't accept blindly. Richard, I appreciate this more than I can express, but I have one condition. Fleming raises an eyebrow. Name it. Half the proceeds from these sales go to establishing scholarship programs for minority students in art history and museum studies. We're creating the next generation of collectors and curators who won't have to fight for access the way I did. Fleming grins. You're not just a collector, Marcus. You're a revolutionary. Done. 3 days later, Marcus's phone rings at 2 a.m. His mother's voice is weak. Marcus, the doctors, they found something. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. Inoperable. 6 months, maybe less. She'd been experiencing symptoms for weeks but didn't want to burden him, didn't want to distract from his success. By the time she went to the hospital, it was too late. Marcus sits in the Christie's gallery at 3 a.m., surrounded by art worth hundreds of millions. All the success, all the validation, all the vindication against Victoria's prejudice. None of it can save his mother, the woman who brought home those auction catalogs, who believed a boy from Bed-Stuy could belong in a world that didn't want him, who cleaned apartments filled with art so her son could one day own the auction houses that sold it. She'll never see the scholarship program, never see the industry transformation, never see him prove that people like him do understand this world. They built this world. Marcus wins the battle against Victoria, but he's losing his mother, and no amount of success can change that timing. Victoria's destruction is complete and public. The video reaches 2.1 million views. The art newspaper publishes an editorial, "Discrimination has no place in art commerce, the Marcus Hayes case." Christie's International releases a statement. "We condemn the discriminatory behavior exhibited by former employee Victoria Pemberton. Her actions do not represent our values." Victoria's LinkedIn profile attracts hundreds of messages. None are job offers. Within 1 week, Victoria discovers the true cost. The art world, built on reputation and provenance, offers no refuge for auction directors with documented discrimination histories. Victoria's $95,000 salary becomes $32,000 at a small estate sale company in New Jersey. Her professional reputation, built over 12 years, destroyed in 90 seconds of video. New York Attorney General's office opens investigation into civil rights violations in public accommodations. Marcus's legal team files comprehensive civil action seeking. The case settles within 30 days. Victoria pays $125,000 in damages and agrees to complete 300 hours of bias training and community service at civil rights organizations. But the real transformation happens industry-wide. The Art Dealers Association of America announces mandatory bias training for all member galleries. The Association of Art Museum Directors creates new guidelines for inclusive access and representation. Major auction houses implement immediate changes. Sotheby's requires diversity training for all client-facing staff. Phillips creates anonymous reporting systems for discrimination. Bonham's partners with HBCUs to develop internship programs. Museum studies programs add Marcus's case to required curriculum on institutional bias. Hayes Collection Group becomes the template for inclusive art commerce. Inquiries flood in from collectors, dealers, and institutions wanting to understand his model. 3 major collections, previously destined for other auction houses, redirect to Christie's Manhattan because of Marcus's leadership. Revenue increases 340% within 6 months. Marcus returns to Christie's Manhattan for the most significant sale of his career. Tonight's auction, the Hayes Legacy Collection, featuring the Fleming donations and pieces from Marcus's private holdings. Proceeds will fund the Hayes Fleming Scholarship Program for minority students in art history. The transformation is evident from the moment he enters. The reception desk, now staffed by a diverse team of specialists, reflects the industry he's building. Behind them, the gallery buzzes with conversations in multiple languages. Collectors of every background preparing to bid on museum-quality pieces. Claire, promoted to assistant director after completing NYU's Arts Administration program, greets him warmly. "Mr. Hayes, we're at capacity. 400 registered bidders, wait list of 200 more." Marcus nods. Excellence and inclusion have proven to be complementary forces, not competing ones. James leads the installation team, having discovered a passion for exhibition design after Marcus sponsored his certification. "Everything's ready, Mr. Hayes. It's gonna be a historic night." At preview table 12, the same spot where Sarah Kim recorded the video that changed everything, a young black girl examines a Kara Walker silhouette with her family. She studies the piece with the confidence of someone who's never been told she doesn't belong anywhere. Marcus's phone buzzes. News alert. Former Christie's director Victoria Pemberton completes court-mandated community service. The article notes her work with the NAACP, teaching bias awareness to art industry professionals. Reports suggest genuine transformation, though trust must be earned through sustained action. Margaret Chen joins him at the window overlooking Madison Avenue. "Any regrets?" "About firing Victoria? None. About the pain the situation caused. If it prevents other people from experiencing the same discrimination, then it served a purpose larger than our comfort." The evening's highlight comes when Dr. Jennifer Washington, a young art historian, approaches Marcus. She's the first Hayes Fleming scholar, now assistant curator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. "Mr. Hayes, I wanted to thank you personally. I'm curating the Met's first major exhibition of contemporary African-American art. 40 artists, 3 months of programming. It wouldn't exist without your scholarship." This is the legacy Marcus treasures most. Not the business success or legal precedent, but young people who see the art world as a space of opportunity rather than exclusion. As the auction begins, Marcus stands in the center of the gallery where Victoria once told him he didn't belong. The space now represents everything he envisioned when he first invested his life savings in this dream. The first lot opens. Jacob Lawrence's Migration Series study. Bidding starts at $200,000. Within 90 seconds, it reaches $890,000, sold to a young Chinese collector who's building an inclusive contemporary collection. The Kehinde Wiley portrait, Lot 47, the piece Victoria mocked him for examining, sells for $1.4 million. Proceeds fund 10 full scholarships. By the end of the night, the sale totals $47 million. Every dollar supporting the next generation of diverse collectors, curators, and scholars. Marcus's phone rings, unknown number. He almost ignores it. "Mr. Hayes, this is Victoria Pemberton." Silence stretches between them. "I don't expect forgiveness," Victoria continues. "I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I've spent this year understanding exactly how wrong I was. Not just about you, about everything. I've been working with the NAACP, learning about institutional bias, about how people like me create systems of exclusion without even realizing it." "Victoria, please let me finish. I destroyed my career. I deserve that. But more importantly, I almost destroyed people's dignity, including yours. I can't take that back, but I can make sure I never let it happen again, and I can teach others not to make my mistakes." Marcus closes his eyes, thinks about his mother, who died 4 months ago, who taught him that people can change if given the chance and the will. "Victoria, I don't know if we'll ever work together again, but if you're genuinely committed to this transformation, the industry needs people who've learned from their mistakes. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. That means more than you know." Marcus Hayes's extraordinary journey from humiliation to industry transformation proves that individual courage can reshape entire economic sectors. What began as a routine preview at his auction house became a catalyst for change that now protects millions of art lovers from discrimination. The story demonstrates that ownership without values is meaningless, but ownership with purpose becomes revolutionary. Marcus didn't just fire a discriminatory employee. He fired a discriminatory system, replacing exclusion with excellence and proving that inclusion drives profitability. This narrative extends beyond auction houses into every industry where discrimination persists. Galleries, museums, dealers, and cultural institutions all wrestle with the same fundamental question: do we serve some people or all people? Marcus's transformation of Christie's Manhattan sparked industry-wide changes that seemed impossible just 2 years ago. Bias training became standard practice. Inclusive hiring became competitive advantage. Anonymous reporting systems gave employees power to prevent discrimination before it escalates. The Hayes-Fleming Scholarship Program has awarded 47 full scholarships in its first year. Recipients are becoming curators, conservators, auction specialists, and gallery directors who will shape the next generation of art commerce. But perhaps the most important change is the young girl at table 12, examining a Kara Walker silhouette with confidence, growing up in a world where her dignity isn't negotiable. Justice isn't just about punishing wrongdoing. It's about creating systems that prevent future harm. This story ended with transformation. Most don't. If this stayed with you, leave a like and subscribe for stories that prove change is possible.